大家好，欢迎收听唱歌学中文。Hi everyone, welcome to Sing and Learn Chinese. Today we're going to be learning a song. It's actually a poem that we set to music, but it's not the lyrics are not written by us, but the melody was, and the English parts that were added. But anyways, we're just going to go over the Chinese parts, the poem. Now this poem is called 静夜思, and it's by a poet named Li Bai who lived and wrote during the Tang Dynasty. And 静夜思, the reason why it's called that is 静 means quiet, still, 夜 means night, and then 思 is short for 思想, and it's like thoughts. So thoughts on a quiet night, basically. And it's a very short poem. Everybody who grew up in the Chinese-speaking world probably knows this poem. So if you want to memorize this poem, it might be kind of an impressive party trick. Also, it's a rather pretty poem about nostalgia, about memories. It's very contemplative. So, without further ado, let's get into the lyrics, the words, the poem. Okay, first line, 床前明月光. Okay, so 床 is a bed. 前 means front or forward. So 床前 is in front of the bed or before the bed. 明月. 明月 refers to the moon. Now, in colloquial Chinese, most people, when they're talking about the moon, they'll say 月亮 today. But 明月 is the more literary, beautiful way of saying moon, more poetic, let's put it that way. And then 光 is light. So 明月光 is the light of the moon. So 床前明月光 means the light of the moon before the bed or in front of the bed. And then second line, we have 疑似地上霜. So 疑是 is like suspecting or seeming. So the character, who is not named in this poem, seems to see. 地上 means on top of the ground. So 地 is ground, 上 is top, on top. So on the ground. 霜 is frost. So he seems to see frost on the ground. In other words, the light of the moon on the ground looks like frost. It seems like frost. Okay. Then the third line, 举头望明月. 举 means to lift, and 头 is your head. So 举头, lift head. 望 is to gaze upon, to look out at. 明月, we talked about, is the moon. So you lift your head, or the person, the character in this poem, lifts his head to gaze at the moon. And then the last line, 低头思故乡. 低 means to lower. So you had 举头 to raise your head. Now you have 低头, lower your head. And then 思, as we mentioned when we were talking about the title of this poem, 思 refers to thought, thinking, contemplating, remembering, whatever. So you're thinking about 故乡. So your 故乡 is your childhood home. And 乡 actually refers more to a village, so you're thinking of your childhood home village. So overall, this poem is a very nostalgic poem, and the poet's probably talking about himself or maybe somebody he knows, on a moonlit night, looking out the window in front of his bedroom, seeing the moonlight on the ground, looking like snow, and that kind of makes him remember his childhood village, which he's obviously not located in presently. Anyways, so that is the poem. It's kind of melancholy. It's kind of, calm. Yeah. I mean, the title of the song, after all, is 静夜思. But here's a little fun trick or joke, is that this poem is so popular that sometimes people will change the last line to be a little bit funny just for kicks and giggles. So, for example, the poem has an AABA rhyme scheme, right? You've got the first line ends with Guang, the second line ends with Shuāng, the last line ends with xiang, and then the middle line has nothing to do with the rhyme. So it's like 床前明月光, 疑是地上霜, 举头望明月, 低头思故乡. But sometimes people will change the last line to 低头吃便当, which means I lower my head, or he lowers his head and eats his lunch. Which, it just fits the rhyme, but it's really silly because you've just broken this nostalgic mood with something completely ridiculous. But anyways, if you know the original poem, and then you can also recite the funny, changed final line, you might impress a few people. Who knows? Anyways, that is the 静夜思, or the song is just called 床前明月because that's the first line. And I'll see you in the next video. Until we sing again, 再见.